Alright, so big change. I dropped a big tree over here, and I hope it works out. I'm just dropping some black gesso and some raw umber just to be able to indicate it. So let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and paint the sides later. So if anybody buys this painting, doesn't have to frame it. And maybe bring this side right here. Let's bring in outliner brush and do some of the small details over here. Maybe we have a branch here as well. Now I'm gonna go ahead and drop some impression of snow over this tree as well. So this is just the blocking part of the painting, is blocking the element, the underpainting. And a few branches here and there. This tree helps to push the house a little bit back into the painting. I think it helps with the composition. Maybe bring this branch right in front of the window, right here. Just fixing a few details here and there, the thickness of the branches, the main branches and small branches that emerge from it, just to get the idea right before we go ahead and start highlighting and adding final touches to it. And I'm gonna stick with this for now. We're gonna go ahead and drop some highlights for this side as it catches the moonlight and some of these street lights and stuff like that. With a small round brush, I'm gonna go ahead and work on the tree. I have raw umber, burnt umber, and raw sienna, and Mars black. And I'll be using all those colors back and forth. The shadow side of the tree is this side, so I'm gonna keep that side fairly dark. Just gonna come over here and fix this area a bit, which is a mix of burnt umber and raw umber and black. I'm not going to cover all that dark. I'm going to just leave some in between. I'm going to let the paint break. This is a very beat up brush, so I'm going to let the paint break to create an illusion of some texture and details on this tree. Leaving some of that background dark in between. By background dark, I mean the underpainting for the tree. Maybe this area is too bright. If you feel like it's too bright, you can always get some black and go over it. Now we're getting the moonlight for this side, we're getting the street lamp, casting some light on this side, maybe some light reflecting from the home. So I'm going to go ahead a bit lighter over here with some burnt umber. And you see the way I'm applying the paint is really not intentionally. I'm not gonna get a good coverage. Letting my paint break. And you gotta build on this. It requires a lot of back and forth, playing with the values and colors. Bringing some black. The rougher the canvas, the better for this technique to work. If your canvas is very smooth, it may not work. So you can have, you could use different techniques. A bit more black here, this side. This motion that I'm using the side of the, right here, the side of the brush. This will ruin your brush after a while. So use a brush that is, you don't care for. Dedicate a brush for this kind of, work. Don't use your best brush for this. I'm gonna bring in some raw sienna and mixing it with that umber for extreme highlights over here where the street lamp is located. Back to my raw umber and a touch of black. Just blend that in. trying to capture that light. It's not there yet, but it will be. Working on the big tree for now. Maybe we extend this highlight a bit further than this area, maybe a little down here as well. A bit more raw umber and black. This is acrylic, so the paint that I have over here is already dry. So I want to apply highlights. I mentioned this in most of the videos. If I apply this paint over here and I want to blend it with that color, if this was oil, I would be able to do it because oil dries very slow. So I can come back next week and blend it. But with the acrylic, that paint is already dry, so I have to bring that color again. I have to bring it in order to be able to get a blend over here. So oftentimes people who are beginners with acrylic paint, they wonder why they can blend. And they watch an oil painting tutorial and they try to do the same thing but with acrylics. And they wonder why it's not happening. That's the reason. When you watch an oil painting tutorial, that oil paint is already wet. So when the artist brings in a lighter value or a different color and puts on the canvas, as the brush loses that color and moves into the dark part, which is here, start blending in the colors together automatically. So that happens automatically with oil. With acrylics, you have to do that manually. So this is very important point to consider when you're working with acrylics. It's not necessarily harder to work with acrylics. You just have to keep that in mind. Maybe just some random raw burnt umber applied to the canvas. We'll see how it behaves. Maybe some black over here. Some texture for the tree, some details down here. Raw umber, no raw sienna over here. Doesn't get much light. We want to keep it dark, definitely down here and the corner of the painting. Keep it fairly dark. Maybe bring in some of that burnt umber now, which is lighter in color, in value rather. Here we go. Maybe it's catching the moonlight. And up here. Time to switch our brush to a liner brush. Now these branches over here, I'm going to keep them fairly dark and not much details for those, but Just wiggling my brush, creating some random texture. Now with the same brush, with the liner brush, I'm gonna pick up some ultramarine blue. I'm gonna pick up some whites. And we're gonna make a lighter blue value for shadow color of the snow. And we're going to drop a few indication of snow on these branches. Let's see where we're going to do that. Maybe we indicate some snow over here. No, it's not going to be a full coverage all over. Few areas. Maybe here. And this is just a shadow color for the snow. I'm just gonna run my brush like that. I'm gonna let it break. Same as painting your mountain with a palette knife. The brush does all the work for you. Like that. And we're going to come down here, same idea, right by the trunk, maybe over here also. Some snow. Just gonna run the brush this way, and we're gonna let it break. Not the brush, the paint. You don't want to break the brush, definitely not. Unless you're planning to shop new brushes and you need an excuse for it. Just like that, you know. And this is the shadow color. We're going to bring some highlights. And maybe here. Now I'm working with the tip of the brush. And indicate few impressions of snow. Maybe heavier, where the tree meets the dirt or the soil. Here we go. And of course, lighter value of that blue for some highlights. And maybe here and there some snow on these branches. We're gonna let it break. We're gonna intentionally miss a few spots. getting the excess paint off of my brush, and same idea, the side of my brush, breaking some of that paint. A bit highlights here. Just like that. Soften a few. You're gonna have a higher chance of snow gathering on the fork of the trees, so a little more snow over here. And a bit more highlights, and of course some highlights are done here. Now you could use the tip of your brush and intentionally allow the paint to break, or use the technique that I just showed you, either or you could switch your brush to a mop brush and come over here and just tap. That also works. Sometimes I use this technique instead. And soften a few. And maybe I'm working at a weird angle over here because of the camera, but this is the idea. Here we go. And just blend it with the road or whatever the landscape you're painting. Here we go. Maybe some highlights here, since we already with the color and the brush. And I'm going to blend the land into the tree trunk over here, get a nice smooth transition, believable, with the mop brush. Coming in with a liner brush and some raw sienna, intensifying that highlight over here. And transition that with raw burnt umber. Alright, I believe we are done with the tree, at least for now. Maybe later I decide to, I don't know, add something to it, work on it. But I think the tree is in good shape for now. Not too shabby. A few more details here and there with this big tree in the foreground. I think it really helped to push the house back a bit. Maybe a bit more highlight right on this branch, just tapping some white. Now this is a straight white at this stage. I wanted to show against the white of the roof. Here we go. And since we are here, before we sign off, or I sign off and end this video, let's go ahead and make some gray and indicate some smoke for the chimney. And with a moist brush, I'm just going to go ahead and soften some of that and give it impression of smoke coming out of the chimney, and maybe some for that one back there as well. Here we go, just an indication. We don't want to overdo this part. Oops, let's fix that boo over there. All right, and that's a bit of smoke coming out of the chimney. Maybe a bit white added, just a tiny bit, just a tiny bit. Here we go, and run your finger over it, soften it. And that's our smoke. The big tree is done. The impression of snow is very much in place. I'm gonna go ahead, sign off right now, and we're gonna end this video right here. I will have 2 more elements to complete. Maybe we add a few bushes in the foreground and final highlight for the snow, and we can call this painting done. We're going to do that in the next video. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys next.